Can I ask you something, Miss Evelyn? Do you know what her pain is? Because the only reason a person would behave in this manner,
We're not going to
consistently.
We're not going to do that. She does not have a behavior problem, and that's not.
First of all, your finger in my face is not going to work for me.
But then I ain't going to work for me. Because I don't appreciate you keep throwing out these names and stuff. All I had been is to step back for a time. I've been called.
You know what? We need to talk about something nobody wants to say out loud. Everyone's always pointing fingers at Tamar Braxton, right? She's the messy one. She's the dramatic one. But what if I told you that Tamar isn't actually the real problem here? What if the person we should really be looking at is Miss Evelyn? Yeah, I said it. Miss E herself might just be the true villain of this entire Braxton family saga. Look, we all know Tamar gets the blame for basically everything. Every argument, every fallout, every dramatic moment people are quick to say, "There goes Tamar again." But have we ever stopped to ask ourselves why? Because when you see the same toxic behavior playing out over and over again, you have to start looking at the root of the problem. And that root? It might just be Miss Evelyn. Let's be real. If you spend any time on social media, you know exactly what people say about Tamar Braxton. Chaotic, attention-seeking, vengeful. The comments section is absolutely brutal. But here's where it gets interesting. Tamar herself has been pretty open about where all of this comes from. She's literally told us that her behavior is connected to her upbringing and her mother's influence. She's talked about her mental health struggles, her healing journey, all of that.
Letting your mother run your life.
How dare he try to tell me how to raise my kids after he have abandoned us? He has some nerve.
Y'all have lives to live yourself, and she can't run her life, her home, and your home.
You know what? Had you been home long enough to help me to raise them, it wouldn't be such a problem. But where were you?
What did you do all day? What did you do all day long?
What did you do?
What did you do?
And yet, nobody seems to want to connect those dots. Now, I'm not going to act like Tamar's hands are clean. The relationship drama with Vince, absolutely chaotic. The situation with JR, even messier. And don't even get me started on her relationships with her sisters. She's burned bridges with so many friends and colleagues that it's honestly hard to keep track. Remember the whole Funky Geneva situation? It was a whole circus, and Tamar was right in the center ring.
Don't steal anything.
You don't. You sold men.
Who commanded I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them. You time.
What man? You not get the me.
Oh, you such a liar. Such a liar.
Every time you turn around, Tamar is in some new controversy. And for a while, that's what made her so entertaining on Braxton Family Values. People tuned in specifically to see what Tamar was going to do next. But here's the thing about watching someone's life constantly burn. Eventually, you get tired of the smoke. In the beginning, Tamar's drama made her a fan favorite. People loved her because she was unfiltered and unapologetic. But somewhere along the way, things shifted. What used to be entertaining started feeling exhausting. And the worst part? Despite Tamar constantly talking about her healing journey, the public perception is that she's actually gotten worse, not better. You see people in the comments now saying things like, "She needs help," or "I love her from a distance." There's this collective fatigue when it comes to Tamar. At some point, love and support start to look like enabling, and nobody wants to be part of that equation. Here's where things get really frustrating. If you've ever watched Tamar in interviews or on social media, you'll notice a very clear pattern. She rarely, if ever, admits fault. In her mind, she's constantly under attack. Everyone is out to get her. But at nearly 50 years old, you have to start taking some accountability. The conflicts keep happening with her sisters, with her friends, with her romantic partners. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, if I'm having problems with everyone around me, is everyone else really the problem? Or is it possible that I need to look in the mirror? And who does Tamar blame for all of this? Everyone, but especially one person, her mother, Miss Evelyn. And you know what? She might actually be onto something there. Let's talk about the Braxton family dynamics, because there's some deep-rooted stuff going on here. All of the sisters carry this bitterness with them. There's resentment. There's old wounds that never healed. And Tamar has been pretty open about connecting all of this back to how they were raised, and specifically, to their mother's influence. When you look at Miss Evelyn's life, you start to see some patterns. The anger, the grudges. A lot of this seemed to intensify after her divorce from Michael Braxton Sr., which happened over 20 years ago.
Evelyn could say some things out her mouth that are really cutting.
But your daughters are being held emotionally hostage to your ex-wife's bitterness towards you. You and her need to get on the same side of the table and free those girls. Because the elephant in the room that nobody will talk about is Evelyn Braxton's attitude.
But here's the wild part. That bitterness never went away. Miss Evelyn held on to that resentment for decades, and her daughters watched every single moment of it. They absorbed it. Miss Evelyn's divorce wasn't just a regular breakup. The bitterness that Evelyn carried seeped into everything. It affected how she raised her daughters. And whether she meant to or not, she taught them that holding on to anger was normal.
I don't even think they look at me as a sister. They don't like me. We were very close as kids, very close as young adults, and now where we are in our lives, that relationship no longer serves us. And I would hate to keep arguing with them and keep building negative memories instead of building and relying and thinking of the good memories that we had.
Here's something people don't talk about. Miss Evelyn literally forced her kids to pick sides during the divorce. Tracy maintained a relationship with her father, and Miss Evelyn held that against her for years. Even up until Tracy's passing, there were reports that Evelyn still harbored resentment. Can you imagine being so bitter about your own divorce that you punish your child for loving their father? That's exactly the kind of toxic behavior that gets passed down and creates generations of dysfunction. As the youngest, Tamar consistently sided with her mother every time. She became Miss Evelyn's loyal soldier, always seeking her approval.
Because everything she said she thought was right.
Pitiful lie, too.
And as long as you agree with her, she's fine. And it's the same thing with y'all. I never don't agree with her. She is pissed. And it's time for y'all to stop letting your mother run your life.
And over time, this created a serious codependency issue. Miss Evelyn's dominance wasn't about being a good mother, it was about maintaining power. She used guilt as a weapon. She demanded obedience. Miss Evelyn loved asserting her opinion. She loved being right. She loved shutting down any disagreement. If you challenged her, you were being disrespectful. There was no room for healthy debate in the Braxton household. It was Evelyn's way or the highway. Here we are, over 20 years after the divorce, and Miss Evelyn's toxicity is still affecting her daughters.
Let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So looking at Tina Knowles and her children, and looking at Evelyn Braxton and her girls, it's proof to me that forgiveness or unforgiveness and bitterness can trickle down to your kids. I feel like Tina Knowles is the reason why Solange and Beyonce are able to persevere and press through adversity with grace and poise. I know this is a weird way to put it, but Beyonce and Solange was able to see their parents go through a healthy divorce. Even Miss Tina acknowledged that they did not go back and forth. And honestly, she had every reason to be bitter and not forgive him for having an outside baby on her. And then on the other hand, we can look at Miss Evelyn Braxton and see why her daughters are still on each other's neck in their 40s and 50s.
Tamar is nearly 50 and still dealing with the emotional fallout of her childhood. A lot of people online are finally starting to agree. The comments have shifted from Tamar is the problem to wait a minute, Miss Evelyn set the tone for all of this. She's the hidden villain. She represents all those toxic mothers who shaped their children's mental health struggles through their own unhealed trauma. At the end of the day, the Braxton family has been dealing with long-standing toxicity for decades, and Miss Evelyn is at the center of it all. While Tamar often becomes the scapegoat because she's the most outspoken, the truth is that she's just the symptom of a much bigger problem. Tamar's personality makes her an easy target. She's loud, she's dramatic. So yeah, people are going to focus on her. But maybe it's time we stopped blaming the daughter and started looking at the mother who raised her. So what do you think? Is Miss Evelyn the real villain of the Braxton family? Drop your thoughts in the comments.